Yeah, Sanders, we like your policy. We like your policy. Medicare for all. We love all that. We love all that. Expansion of Social Security. We like it. How are you going to get it past Mitch McConnell? Now, Rachel Maddow had a conversation with Bernie Sanders. It wasn't a necessarily bad conversation. I always just wish they asked different questions, or questions further into this notion of the U.S. foreign policy and what your expectation of other countries is in the context of a foreign policy that pulls back and recedes from the world. I am fascinated by that question. No one ever goes that deep, deep into foreign policy questions. On the domestic front, Rachel Maddow peppered Bernie Sanders with a few lighthearted questions, but one of those interesting questions that I thought, how do you plan on getting your policies that are to the left of the current Democratic Party past Mitch McConnell? The Democratic Party couldn't even get its milquetoast run-of-the-mill policies across McConnell. How are you going to? Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And yes, one Mr. Bernie Sanders is going to answer that. And I think he gave a relatively good answer. And if you notice, Sanders she's never squeamish about this particular answer or answers in this frame of reference. He never has to change what he's saying. It goes beyond the policy. My goal is to galvanize the American public to overcome the opposition, be it in my party or outside of my party, to getting my objectives accomplished. He's always said that. He's always called for a political revolution. That hasn't changed. He's called for a political revolution because he understands, he's been in the Senate, that just having a policy, Elizabeth Warren, is not enough. You have dollars or you have pitchforks. Elizabeth Warren will be taking those dollars after the primaries. That's assuming she gets through the primaries. You have one person who's been consistent and remains so. Listen to him talk about this on Maddow.
How that translates practically. I'm hearing echoes of your first answer in the debate in Miami, when the question was something along the lines of what do you want to do first? And you talked about this need for a political revolution and the need to sort of take on multi-front battles all at the same time. If you were elected president in 2020, odds are, I don't know, let's guess, 50-50 that Senator Mitch McConnell would still be the leader of the Republicans in the Senate and they'd still hold the majority there. You know from being in the Senate what that means in terms of the power of getting legislation through. If, I know you don't want McConnell to still be there. Right. If he is still there, what would you put on his plate first? What would be your first legislative priority?
I'll tell you, before I put anything on his plate, I would be in the state of Kentucky holding a rally with tens of thousands of people to say to what is in fact one of the poorest states in this country, a real struggling state in Kentucky, that we need to raise the minimum wage, a state which is really suffering for lack of health care. We're going to rally the American people in Kentucky. We're going to rally the American people in Mississippi. We're going to rally the people in South Carolina to demand that their representatives, I know this is a radical idea, actually do what the American people want. The point that I make over and over again, Rachel, is the ideas that I talk about are ideas that the American people want. They don't get it because you got a Congress indebted to wealthy campaign contributors. And by the way, whether you call it socialism or social democracy or progressive government.
My ideas are popular to the American public. They don't get it because they have a Congress that is beholden to wealthy campaign contributors. That is strong, and not just strong, that is true. His point, his argument, and again, his argument hasn't changed. Elizabeth Warren has put her finger to the wind and has gone with any prevailing notion to get any level of relevance. She has supported reparations, she's supporting impeachment, anything to get her some level of relevance. She's also have all sorts of policy proposals. Now, the catch is Sanders has had those policy proposals for God knows how long, for almost the duration of his career. And he has made a very consistent and strident argument and one consistent point. These ideas in and of themselves are not going to get over the finish line. Even if you had a president that wanted to push for these ideas, in their heart burned these ideas, you can't get them over the finish line in an obstinate Congress. You can get them over the finish line if congressional leaders are terrified that they are going to lose their jobs or that they do, in fact, lose their jobs. His argument, and the reason that he makes this argument is, I've consistently called for a political revolution. You get these passed, you get Medicare for all, you get inexpensive Social Security, you get these things when McConnell loses his job. When the American public knows that the leader who's coming to their area, their district, is earnest and has a certain degree of credibility, that when he says, I'm going to push for Medicare for all, they know he believes it. When they say, I'm going to expand Social Security, I'm going to ensure that colleges are open, that if your kid wants to get an education, that he's not going to get hit with $40,000, $50,000 of debt for the temerity of trying to learn to better themselves. I'm the guy that's going to do it. When that guy has a certain degree of credibility associated with it, it's terrifying. He's never made an argument that he, by himself, is going to go to Washington and change the world. His argument has always consistently been that when the public determines that it wants something different, then the public and the government changes around it. Love that answer. They go further into this, asking about global warming and climate change and saying, how are you going to get the people in Saudi Arabia or Iran to stand up? Because he kind of made this answer on foreign policy where he was kind of going with the same shtick of, I'm going to galvanize the public in those countries. But just on this answer, though, I think this answer is right. On the day that Sanders takes office, unlike other presidents, Sanders needs to not be in political mode. He needs to be in campaign mode. And that campaign mode needs to be going around the country and not letting up, not drawing down or scaling down after he wins the presidency, but ramping up, continuing. Because at that point, now he has a bully pulpit. And wherever the president goes, the media is going to follow. And if President Bernie Sanders is standing outside of a hospital being shut down, standing outside of a factory being shut down, or factory being shipped overseas, or if he's standing outside of a drug company that increased the price of drugs 50, 100%, 1,000%. If he's standing in California and he's standing in front of a guy who's homeless while a billionaire steps over him to get into his limo, the media, who has been remiss to cover those very specific items that affect human beings in this country, would be forced to cover those items. I love this answer. I love this answer. How are you going to get it past Mitch McConnell? It's a fair answer. It's a fair question. His answer is the only answer that you can give, because that's the only answer that gets you any level of chance of success. I love this answer. I love this answer. I'm not going to keep this. I'm not going to keep this, and I don't want this one to be too long, but I did like the answer. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Even $1 helps. You hear me, and I would imagine other YouTubers say that a lot, but it is true. YouTube has been demonetizing these channels, and it is very possible that this video in and of itself, even though we've talked about nothing risque, could get demonetized. Even $1 helps. I'll leave it here. Thanks all.